So the last problem was the flak problem. Yeah. The next one. Effective G, or you can say apparent gravity, or you can say lift problems. You can call them any way you want. So what is this? Suppose if you have a lift which is going up, right? And if you have a person standing inside the lift, getting it? And if you have an object here, let's say there is some bird or some insect flying here. If you ask the person, what is the bird doing? What will he say? He will think the bird is coming down, no? You're getting relative motion. If you stop the man, A will be down for the bird, isn't it? So man will think the bird is coming down, with an acceleration A. So man ka perception ye tha, this particle is having an acceleration A down. On top of it, you also have your own gravity. So this is due to relative motion. This is due to gravity. So the body is falling on its own because of gravity. Plus, because you are going up, you think it is also falling down with A. So this gives you an illusion. So if the lift is going up, the person will think inside there is a new gravity, which is G effective, which is G plus A. He thinks the gravity inside the lift has become G plus A. That is a perception he will have when he is inside the lift. Same way, if the lift is going up, down, the lift is going down, then on the particle, what is this thing? G downward. Then the pseudo force upward, no? So he will think the G effective is how much? G minus A. So if you are inside a lift which is going up, inside the lift, you will think the gravity has become G plus A. If the lift is going down, you will think gravity has become G minus A. Does this make sense? You're getting, it feels that way. If you're inside the lift, you will feel the gravity is like that. Did you ever notice this thing? You're standing in a lift and the lift, when it moves upward, you suddenly feel as if, little weight has increased. Or when the lift is suddenly dropping down, you'll feel a little weightlessness. More than a lift now, if you go for this Imagica car ride, Nitro, you must have experienced it. When it goes up and when it is falling down, so during this descent ride, you will feel that weightlessness kind of feeling. That's what is happening. You're falling down with A, gravity is G, so you think it is G minus A. You think gravity has decreased. It gives you a feeling as if you're feeling weightlessness. Or if you had gone to Imagica water park, there is one ride there. It's like this. There's a capsule, you stand inside, they suddenly open the doors. You just fall down like this. Right? So what happens here now, when you're freely falling now, see, then they suddenly open the doors, you're falling with G. So what is G effective? So man pay already G is there, and pseudo force, this thing G will come here, GG will cancel and relative. You feel you are freely falling, weightlessness. There is a sensation you experience during these rides. That's what you think is excitement. Your body thinks it is dying. So in order to protect itself, it will release this adrenaline. So you think that is excitement. That is the body's mechanism, in order to encounter any dangers. Have a look at this. Any doubt on this part, please ask me. This should be clear. So when the lift is going up, the person inside the lift will think gravity is changing, not the person on the ground. That's again a perception. Person inside the lift will feel gravity has become G effective. Gravity has become G plus or minus A, depending whether you're going up or going down. Put it down.
So what's the A beside the lift?
That is the acceleration of the lift. A is the acceleration of the lift. Done? Let's see how questions come on this.
Just a minute.
Okay. Keep your cams on, Ray, or else I'll be kicking you out in a minute.
Answer.
Yeah. So the main idea is this: whenever you see a lift or something is accelerating, that's how it works. So let's say a question. You have a lift 6 meters tall. Lift is going up with acceleration 2 meters per second square. Person is inside the lift. Here there is a bolt. So a bolt falls from the ceiling of the lift. Now see, during this entire process, gravity is there. Huh? Find the time taken to reach the floor. Find the time taken for the bolt to reach the floor. Question is clear. You're standing inside a lift. Lift is going up with 2 meters per second square. Suddenly the bolt got disconnected and fell down. In how much time will the bolt fall on the floor? Let me show you the problem in ground frame and relative frame. You will see how much difference it will make in terms of solving. Show you? See. If you ask the man what is the gravity, what will he say? The man will say, see, first of all, the bolt will fall with G ring. You're getting it? Plus the relative acceleration A will be downward, no? So the lift is going up. The man will think the bolt is coming down with A plus gravity. So man will think the gravity has become G plus A, which is 12 meters per second square. That is his perception. So the bolt which is there, the bolt will think, okay, my speed is 0. Now basically, see, this is your relative. A relative is 12 meters per second square. That is your G effective. S relative is 6, no? The distance. You're getting it? If you're standing inside the lift, you think the bolt is just started falling, no? So then you can use the equation S relative is U relative T plus half A relative T square. The S relative is minus 6 because you're coming down. U is 0 minus half A 12 T square. You get T square is equal to 1. Time is 1 second. So basic thing is wherever there is a G ka value, put 12 there. Other than that, everything else is same in the problem. Is this fine?
Sir, I had a doubt.
हाँ बोलो ना problem.
Sir, if I'm traveling in a lift and when the lift comes to a rest, it is coming downwards. And when the lift comes to the rest, I jump at the
Rest
same
meaning acceleration is upward, no? At the same time you jump. Okay.
The lift is coming down
Uh-huh.
and when it stops on the ground floor, at the same time I jump. So will there be any change in my
Will there be any change in the
length of my jump, the height of my jump?
It will be, na? Again, it depends on where are you seeing from. If I see you inside the lift, it won't matter. If I see you from ground, it will matter. For example, let me ask you the same question. Tell me one thing, how much did the coin actually travel here? How much did the bolt actually travel here? Did the bolt travel 6 meters in the ground
6
frame?
meters and plus the distance.
See.
Less than 6 meters.
Less, na? Because lift has come up, na? If you look at it in the ground frame, look at this. The bolt is here. u0 in 1 second. 1 second, how much will you travel? Half g t square, na? 5 meters, isn't it? The bolt has fallen 5 meters. The lift ka floor is there. This has traveled half at square, na? A is 2. This is 1 square, 1 meter. Are you getting what happened?
Yes, sir.
The bolt has fallen 5 meters. The lift has traveled 1 meter. So it gives you an illusion as if, after some time the floor has come here. Are you getting it? The bolt didn't travel 6 meters actually. The bolt only traveled 5 meters. So this is the position at t is equal to 1.
सर फिर हमको एक्चुअल डिस्टेंस लेना होता है कि हाइपोथेटिकली जितना ट्रैवल कर
See, suppose it's depends on the question. Na? See, for time it won't matter. Whether you see inside the lift, whether you see from the ground, time will remain same. Na? See, if two people are meeting, whether I am running or I am standing, whatever I am doing, why will the time for them change? Make sense? Distance kitna travel kar rahe, that will change depending on who is seeing. But time taken will be same in all frames.
हाँ तो फिर इसमें SR की जगह 5 -5 भी लिख सकते थे.
But how do you know it is 5? मैंने actually ये time use करके 5 calculate किया ना. Got it? You don't know it is 5. अगर आपको पहले पता होता it is 5 meters, then you could have done. Is this fine, everyone?
So you're assuming it's 6 meters.
Which one?
So you're assuming that the displacement is 6 meters.
Relative displacement 6 meters. Na? If the lift comes to a rest, lift will think bolt is coming 6 meters. Na? Are you clear? So exam if they ask, find the distance traveled by the bolt, it is 5 meters. Distance traveled by the bolt as seen by the lift, 6 meters. Hope you're getting the difference between the two statements. Clear, Ashna?
सर एक मिनट पिछला वे दिखाओ.
So if the lift is going up, it will be G plus A. Lift is coming down, it is G minus A. Let's see one more. Lift is going down with 2 meters per second square. Someone projected U with 20 root 2, angle 45. Find the position where it lands on the floor. Over. See what to do. What will the projectile think inside? The projectile will think my gravity became G minus A. Lift is going up, na? Down, na? So this is 8 meters per second square. Do you remember range ka formula? U square sine 2 theta by G. सिर्फ इतना डिफरेंस था, g का प्लेस में you'll get g effective. So u square will be 20 root 2 whole square sin 90 by 8. So these kind of questions now, wherever you find the g, just replace with g effective. That's it. And then you do normally whatever you want to do. So that will be 400 into 2 by 8. 100
Sir.
meters.
सर ये फॉर्मूला कब सिखाया?
This thing is in projectile motion. Projectile में किया था हमने 2D में. You know how it looks in the ground frame? Initially lift is here. After some time lift will go here. The projectile actually lands here. This is 100 meters. Are you getting? The projectile actually in the ground frame, if you see now, it is not, it's at a different height. It will not come to the same level. Now remember, if it does not come to the same level, you can't use this formula. But for a person inside the lift, it will come to the same level. No? That's what I'm saying. This formula can be used inside a lift, but in the ground frame, you can't use it. That's the advantage of this thing. So remember this thing, whenever you see something is lift is going up, lift is going down, and you're doing problems in that frame, stop the lift, give that acceleration to the particle, it will become g plus a or g minus a, solve using your regular equations.
Sir, here we're not taking G as negative.
No worries, you know. This is including the sign. The g which we derived is including the sign. I'll tell you one thing. G is not negative, A is negative. When you say acceleration g downward, what you write? You write A is minus g now. G is not negative, G is 10 only. Acceleration is minus g. Got the difference? G is never negative. G is just the acceleration due to gravity ka magnitude. During solving the problem, you will write A is minus g. Fair enough?
Hello, sir.
Haan.
My camera is not working.
In last class also you said the same thing, I guess.
No.
Get it sorted out next class.
Yeah.
Clear with this thing, next page. So this is one type of problems, lift based. Next thing. These problems, there is no name particularly for it, but let's see the question. A, B, C on an equilateral triangle. Of side A. Move with speed u such that A chases B, B chases C, and C chases A. I'll show you how it looks. Find time and distance traveled till they meet. This is a little peculiar problem, but a standard problem. You see this thing many places. So you have A, you have B, you have C. See what is happening. A is going this way, B is going towards C, C is going towards A, But the catch is, the moment B goes till here, A will start bending like this. A will not go in a straight line. See, for example, if you have a bus here and you are here, bus is going this way. How will you run behind the bus? Like this? No, no, you start chasing like this, isn't it? You go at a curve. When you're running, chasing a bus, you will not go in straight lines. You will actually start curving towards the bus. No? So the same thing happens here. When A is chasing B, A will bend. Because A bend, C will bend. Because C is chasing A. Na? Because C got bent, A will bend. So when you join them, you get a straight line. And by symmetry, if you see, finally they meet at the centroid. If you see, the three particles are rotating and coming towards the centroid. So we observe A, B, C travel in a curved path. Right? And finally meet at the centroid. Why? Due to symmetry. And another thing, ABC will always form an equilateral triangle. Anytime if you join ABC, you'll always get a triangle. ABC will always form an equilateral triangle, which is becoming smaller and smaller. Which is becoming smaller and rotating. Now see, if the speeds are not same, this won't happen. If it's not an equilateral triangle, this won't happen. For this case to happen, the speed should be same and it should be in proper equilateral triangle or any regular polygon. So let's see how to solve this kind of problem. Now, while looking, it looks very complicated and all, but when you do relative motion, it becomes quite easy. So after some time, what will happen? A will come here, C will come here, B will come here. Again, they're being like this. You're getting how it is? They're always forming a triangle. They're just bending towards each other. I'll show you the path exactly how they go also later on. Put it on here. Have a look at this. Ask me if there's any doubt on this thing. So how to do this thing? Now see, A is going with you. B is going this way at that instant. This is 60 degree. This is A. Stop B. Remember this thing, sir. How do you know how to do this thing? If you remember relative motion, whenever two particles wants to meet or two particles ka minimum distance, whenever there's a discussion about two particles, it is always relative motion. Here the question was same, when will they meet, isn't it? So when you stop B, what you do? So A is going with you this way. So B ka components are U cos 60 u sin 60. I divided them into components. So how do you stop them? Subtract b ka velocities from everyone. Then B will think, okay, I came to rest. It will think A is coming towards me with u plus u cos 60. Cos 60 is half. So 3u by 2 and u sin 60. Tell me one thing, what is time taken? Time is distance AB by speed along AB. Na? If you want to go from A to B, you should take speed from A to B. I don't care about any other speed in any other direction. So the distance will be A and the speed will be 3u by 2. So time will be 2a by 3u. That's your time. So in this much time they meet. What about the distance? Again, in ground frame, distance will be speed into time. Speed again in ground frame, you should always see. So in the ground frame, what is the speed? U. Time is 2a by 3u. 2a by 3. What is this exactly? Remember this curve is here. ये जो curve का length ना, this curve का length is 2a by 3. So when these things are going in a random path, that distance is 2a by 3. Exam, this is how they'll ask you. Right? Find the time taken to meet, find the distance traveled. All this is just an explanation how it is going and all. I'm giving you more info that you can expect in mains. But NEET level, then simply ask this much only. Find the time taken, find the distance traveled. Again, what is the concept in this problem? Three particles are chasing each other. Choose any two particles, A and B. Stop B, get the relative motion. Time taken to go from A to B is distance between A to B by speed along A to B. So you have to do velocities. What is this guy doing? This is decreasing distance, 3u by 2. So this is actually helping you to get closer. What is this guy doing? This is simply making you rotate. I'll tell you how it looks actually, how it rotates. Put it down, have a look at this. Any particular step you didn't get asked me. I'll show you how it looks in the next page. Done? Put done, put done. On the page. That's it. That's how it looks. Huh? if you ask B how A is going, this is not that important, but just understanding के लिए, path of A as seen by B. So B will think I'm at rest. A is here. This is how that will say. See, this is 3u by 2, na? Remember, that is getting you closer. This is u root 3 by 2, na? That is rotating, isn't it? So every time 3u by 2 is getting you closer, but this guy is pushing you away. You're getting how it is going? That u root 3 by 2 is making you go round, round, round. The 3u by 2 is getting you closer and closer. It looks like a spiral like this. This is how B will think A is going. So the 3u by 2 will get you closer. See, it is becoming smaller. And this u root 3 by 2 is still making you go round, round, round. That is why the path looks like this, like a snail or maybe a spiral, whatever you want to call it. So this is how B thinks A is going. Suppose if you see ABC from the ground frame, path of ABC from ground frame. You'll see something similar, the only difference being they all are meeting at the centroid. Na? A will go like this. B will go like this. C will go like this. All three are spiraling. At any time, if you join them, na, you'll always get an equilateral triangle like this. So this is how you do this kind of problem. So one advantage, it will come in entrance exam. Second thing, during Rangoli, anytime you don't know what to draw, you can always draw this thing. See now, always you can join three things. It gives a pretty interesting shape. A spiral. So you can just draw two projectile motions and one spiral problem. It becomes a pretty good design. Physics Rangoli. So this is the path of ABC as seen from the ground. This is again from mains perspective. Huh? NEET when they don't ask such things mostly, but they'll ask you the time and the distance out. But just a perspective how it looks. Done? I'll give you one problem. You guys give it a try. Next one. You guys give it a try. ABCD are on a square of side A, moving with speed u. So A chases B, B chases C, C chases D, and D chases A. Everyone is chasing everyone else. Find time and position when they meet. Find time and distance when they meet. So it's like this. You have 4. A is going this way, B is going this way, C is going this way, D is going this way. But next moment, A will turn, B will turn, C will turn, D will turn. They'll again form a new square. You're getting how it is spiraling now? And they'll meet at the center. Story is same. So you can find these kind of problems on a equilateral triangle, square, hexagon, any regular shape. Get this thing, this is more easy than triangle. Over. See. B is going up. A is going this way. Stop B. How do you do that? You this way, you this way. So B will think, okay, I came to rest. It will think A is coming towards me with you and going down with you. So what is time taken from A to B? Distance AB, speed along AB. That is A by U. Distance will be speed into time. That's it. Straightforward question. This is easier than the previous one. Previous one where there is U cos 60, U sin 60 and all. Here it is pretty clear. Hope this was clear. This was the last problem in kinematics. So with this, we're done with the chapter. Right now in the booklet, right, there is something called concept application 12, which is based on circular motion. You can ignore it for now because we are going to do a full chapter later on that. But remaining, you can finish it off. Plus, anyway, every week we are sending you homework. I'll try to send it by tomorrow night only. Last time it became a little delayed, so that you can start working on that. So if you at least finishing off that work, right, weekly, that is almost 100 to 120 questions. I think that will cover up most of the stuff. But still, someone feels like you need to do more, you can definitely do it. Mostly after Jan or something, we'll start with NCERT also. One certain amount of chapters are done. So till here, we have it for the next Sunday test. Full portion, 1D, 2D, everything you'll have. 1D, 2D, graphs, relative motion, everything. Put it down. I'll be closing the file. I'll be opening a new file. We'll be starting a new chapter, Newton's laws of motion.
एक मिनट पिछला पेज दिखाओ ना, डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया था.
Done? Copied this thing, everyone? Next thing. Newton's laws of motion. Very important chapter. You can actually say the actual physics starts from here. When you have it like Jovikia, that is also physics. But you can, this is like, you know what? After this, whatever chapters related, all are linked up. Friction, loss of motion, friction, circular, work power energy, rotation, literally. So all linked up again. Now what Lucky said has started now, optics and all. So we have started two different tracks. We made it independent of each other. Right? So that was one. So let's see. So make sure to focus on this. Chapters are small, but very important ones. The first law. So Newton's first law, what it does, it states a body continues to be in a state of rest or uniform motion until and unless force is acted upon it. Now, if you see what it simply tells you now, a body is either at rest, a body is either in uniform motion. If you want to change that, you need to apply some force on it. This is what we call as, inertia. We keep hearing this word a lot, inertia, inertia. Inertia is nothing but state of the body or state of the system. So what do you mean by that? Inertia is simply the system will try to do, it'll keep doing whatever it is doing. It will not try to change. It's like think if you have a habit of sleeping every day at 1 o'clock in the night, suddenly you can't sleep at 11 o'clock. Or every day if you have a class at morning 7:30 and Sunday holiday, you think, no, today I'll sleep till 10 o'clock, but you wake up at 7:30. It's because the body got used to it, your body doesn't want to change immediately. It will take time. So example, if you say a body is at rest, it will not move on its own. So someone has to come from outside and push. Maybe like your alarm clock when you want to wake up, or your mom coming and beating you with a stick. So whatever it works. So, or body moving with a speed. When I was in school, I used to tease my sister like that only. Sunday morning, I used to go and say, school bus came, you are getting late. She used to get up and run. That fear, it is there. After getting up, then that's a different thing. So constant velocity, it will not stop on its own. So that is what you mean by inertia. So next time when you hear the word inertia, don't think it looks something weird. It's simply telling you whatever a body continues to do, it will do that only. You want to change that, you have to do something externally, you have to stop it or apply force. So here, first law gives you two important things. First law gives us the concept of inertial frame. If you remember kinematics ka first page, right, we wrote this thing, inertial and non-inertial frame. But still, what is inertial frame? And force. Now, first thing, how do you know whether a body is moving or at rest? Is Mount Everest moving? Depends. If I'm standing on the moon, it is moving. If I'm standing on Earth, it is not moving. Depending on who is seeing it, it can be moving or not moving. Na? If you're going in an aeroplane, Mount Everest is moving with respect to you. Got it? So when you say inertial frame, this is the frame of an observer. The person, wherever you stand and observe something, that is your inertial frame. So first law tells you there are two important things. You need to define your frame before solving a problem. If someone is asking you whether you're moving or not moving, first ask the question, sir, where are you standing? Second thing, it also tells you if you want to change the state of the body, you need to apply force. So the first law gives you these two important stuff. Looks pretty simple and lame, but a pretty important concept. So without defining your frame of reference, you start getting wrong answers. If someone asks you what is force, force is a quantity which will change your state. If you want to make something move, you want to make something go faster, you want to change the direction, anything you want to do to the body, you have to apply force. Clear? Copied everyone? Sneha, copied? No, let me show you something. Able to hear now?
I've always wanted to. Here's the secret. The first thing is you need to go get fabric that does not have a hem. This is you're going to pull straight down to your toes. So on the side here, what it's going to look like is this, is you're going to hang onto it like this, and your hands are going to be here, and you're going to pull straight down like that.
Oh, the
Hear
whip.
that little whip?
Yeah, hear the whip.
That's good.
That's the
All right?
sound of success.
That's good. That is the sound. Second rule is this: you never use your own. Now you're not done yet.
Oh.
Get it back going. All right. None of the elbow thing just yet, because
Oh,
you're
okay.
not there.
All right, okay.
All right, so now you never use your own dishes, right? You always
Never.
use a
Use
friend's
a friend's
dishes.
dishes.
That's exactly right. All right, so here's what's going to happen. Let me put these together for you here like this. All right, so now it's the law of inertia, the tendency of an object to stay at rest until a force acts upon it. So gravity's pulling down this smooth cloth here, and the lack of an edge, hopefully it'll keep it in place. Ready? All right, so be a rock star. Grab
This
the
is
ends.
me?
Hey, do you think I'm doing it? All right. All right, straight down. Ready? 3, 2, 1, straight down. That was nice.
Thank you.
See, that was nice.
Thank you.
But see,
Right? So you can do that. It actually works. It's a kind of a small magic trick type. Basically, what is doing is inertia. For this to work, right, you need to have a smooth cloth. And you're pulling, if you pull it aram se na, the plates also will go with you. Because friction is there, na, real life mein. So you have to do it so fast, the friction does not have enough time to act. So that's why he's pulling it fast in one go. You can't pull it aram se. So here, what is the inertia? On plates, you're not applying any force. So they will try to remain there. You're applying force on the cloth. So that will try to move. So when you pulled the cloth went away, the plates just fell down. Got it? So it gets even better.
most first graders can do that. So here, do that again. All right, so put it back up again,
Oh, okay.
because I have another one for you that I thought might be kind of fun.
All right.
All right, so here's what happens is you got it there. Yes,
It all
this is
set up.
perfect. All right, so here we go. If we add mass, then that's probably a pretty good thing. So that's where these glasses going to come into play. So if you've ever seen
Don't
somebody
try
do it
this at
before,
home.
they sometimes will add something
Your
on
mom is
top
going to
like
come and
this.
beat you
Like
and me
that.
together.
And then we add a little bit of mass. All right, so here we go. So here's a little bit of mass. So how about a little
I'm
bit
on the air
here?
all evening.
You're
here
going to
at
be,
the Big Night.
and I
Is
think
that-
you're going to be good. Yeah, you're going to be just perfect at this.
Oh,
Isn't that
gee.
great? Now,
Oh,
for a
gee.
mere mortal, this would be good, but you are more than a mere mortal.
Oh,
So that's where this goes on top,
I
and
know.
this
This is
guy
not
is
recommended.
right up here like this.
Oh,
all right?
there's no way.
There's a
There's
strong
no way.
possibility that this is not going to work. All right,
Oh,
but it's
gee.
okay. We got to see
You
your
bet
first
there
one,
is.
and we'll cut all the
Oh,
rest
dear.
out. All right?
Oh, gee.
Are you ready for this?
Is it me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Again, it's not me. All right. All right. So I'm going to move you down just a little
Oh,
tiny
gee.
bit.
Oh,
I
gee,
think
yeah.
you're going to be
Oh, man,
great.
set me
Right.
for success
So you're going to
there.
be here like this,
All right.
and your hands are tight, straight down to your toes.
You have to pull it
Got
down,
Straight
okay? And can't pull it
down to your toes.
horizontally.
No hesitation at all.
All right, okay.
All right.
Miss
Ready?
Christensen is
Little
ready to
drum
exit
roll.
the
I'm
studio,
gonna
if you haven't noticed.
count you in. Ready? 3, 2, 1, hard. And the crowd goes
Thank you.
wild.
Thank you.
Now
Thank
you can
you.
do your little thing here. Do your little thing here.
There. Works. That's the Newton's first law. So you can do magic tricks also. So that is one. So next thing, so that is about the force and stuff. Now there are 4 types of forces. So in the universe, right, you can categorize all the forces into 4 types. Any force that you can think of will fall under this category. The first thing is gravitation. We have a separate chapter for this completely. We have electromagnetic force. we have a full, what do you call, section on this thing that has almost 33% weightage. The full physics में 33% marks will come from only electromagnetism. That's in 12th. And I think most lectures will be starting it. Then nuclear force. This we will just study a little bit of it, very small part in modern physics, not much. Weak forces, all over the world, people are still trying to study this, so we don't have in the portion. So what is gravitation? Gravitation comes because of interaction between masses. So whenever masses attract each other, or whatever gravitation, that is because of mass. Electromagnetic is because of interaction between charges. What is nuclear force? This is interaction between nucleons. What are nucleons? So basically, this is a force between neutrons and protons. So when you say nucleons, those are neutrons and protons. So neutrons and protons attract each other. Then proton also attract each other. Weak forces we don't study. So weak forces actually, these are the forces inside the proton and inside the neutron. You must have heard these words, muons, bosons, neutrinos. So all those things come under the weak forces category. And this thing, when I talk about strength, gravitation is quite weak. This is strong. This is very strong. Meaning if strength is 1 for gravity, electromagnetic is 10 power 20, nuclear is 10 power 40. So nuclear force is very strong. If you talk about range, range means how far can you attract bodies. This is very large. Almost infinity. You can see sun is attracting earth even though the distance is 15 crore kilometers. Electromagnetic is only in meters. If you go behind 10 meters, 5 meters now, the force becomes very weak. This is also very short. This is 10 power minus 15 meters. So nuclear force is very strong, but it has a very short range. Gravitation is weak, but it has a very long range. So you can't have both at the same time. Put this down. Next one. So there are 4 types of forces. Now in mechanics, right, we deal with 5 types of forces. First thing is weight. So weight is nothing but gravitation only. Normal force, tension, spring, friction. Friction is very special. It has its own chapter. So actually, if you see, these 4 belong to electromagnetic. Weight is gravitation. So any force, you can have any name you want. All will fall under these 4 categories. So in this chapter, we'll be dealing with weight, normal force, tension, and spring force. For friction, we have a separate chapter. So that we will deal in the next chapter. So in this, the first thing is weight, which is fine. So weight is nothing but, due to the attraction of the earth, at least on the earth's surface when you do the problems, force due to attraction of earth. And the direction is what? Which is towards the center of the earth. When you say down, down is actually towards the center of the earth. So when you take a block like this, mass M, so the weight will be W is mg. Example, if you say there's a block of mass 2 kg, so the weight will be 2 into g, that is 20 newtons. Okay, so when you talk about the direction, a person standing on North Pole, a person standing on equator, person standing on South Pole, see they look like this. South Pole, people don't walk with the heads. This is down, this is down, this is down, this is down. So when you say down, it is actually center of the earth is down. So a person standing exactly on North and South Pole, they're actually in the opposite directions. So the whole concept of up and down, right, is relative. Depending on where you're standing, up and down can mean differently. There is something called IG Nobel Prizes. This is a fake Nobel Prizes, okay? This is given to inventions which are little weird, and they're given to weird people who do weird things. So 2 students, right, I think from Europe or US, I don't remember, they made the world's biggest sandwich. You know what they did? They went exactly to the opposite sides of the Earth's surface using GPS and some calculations and stuff. This person kept a bread here, this person kept a bread here. So the Earth is in the middle of the sandwich. They got an Ig Nobel Prize for that. IG Nobel Prize. So you get stuff, Nobel Prizes, that IG Nobel Prize is a funny thing. You get it for this kind of stuff. But the catch is this, they found 2 points on the land, not on the water. Most of the time, the other point is on the water. So that's still a lot of effort. I think one guy went to New Zealand and one guy was in UK. So they both are on a con call. At the same time, they kept the sandwich. They both took their own photographs, and with a GPS, they did some nonsense, and they proved it actually both are opposite points. Meaning the line joining them is going through the center, and both the points are on the land. So, yeah, works. Put it down. Next page, I'll show you what is normal reaction. Next one, normal reaction. Normal force or normal reaction, normal, all are same thing. What is this? When 2 surfaces are in contact, the nucleus of the surfaces repel each other. Now see, when you say nucleus, it is a positive charge thing, right? So if you bring two nucleuses very close to each other, what will happen? They will repel each other. Nucleus on the surfaces repel each other, generating a force along the common normal. What is this exactly? So if you have two surfaces like this, now see, there's a nucleus here, there's a nucleus here. So when you're taking molecules and if you push them towards each other, the nucleus will repel. So the nucleus will repel, this nucleus will repel, this nucleus will repel. So that will generate a force along the normal. Getting it? So this force is electromagnetic in nature. So actually when you are touching a pen or when you are touching a table, you are not really touching it. What you're experiencing is the repulsion between the molecules on your hand and the molecules on the table. That repulsion is what you think you're touching something. Because if you can actually touch something, there'll be an explosion. That is what you do in nuclear fusion. If you take two nucleuses and touch them together, they will fuse to become one atom. That's a nuclear fusion which happens in a hydrogen bomb. So if you can actually touch something, it will blast off. So every time you actually touch something, it will be a blast. So you'll become a bomberman. So what you experience is always just a repulsion. So what is this common normal? Common normal, what is a common tangent? A normal common to both the surfaces. So if you have a block here, if you have a ground here, this is a common normal. A line which is normal to both the surfaces. Suppose if you have like this, incline and a block like this, then this is a common normal. Suppose if you have a ball and another ball, here the common normal will be line joining the center. So whenever you play carom board, right, when the coin goes in or a striker goes in, it's a coin. The force is along the line joining the center. Suppose if you have a ball and an incline, then the common normal is from center drop a perpendicular. So these are the forces. This is how the normal force should be drawn. Put it on. And here we also call this as contact force. What is a contact force? Force due to being in contact.
हेलो सर सॉरी डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया था सर अभी मोबाइल डेटा से
Okay. This is a force, due to being in contact.
सर आप थोड़ा पेजेस पीछे कर दो मैं स्क्रीनशॉट लेके बाद में लिख दूंगा सर थोड़ा
I'll give you the notes. End of the class, I'll give you.
ओके सर
End of the class, I'll show you. What is a non-contact force? Example, gravitation. Sun and Earth are not touching each other. Na? Force to hai. So that's a non-contact force. So when you're touching your pen, that's a contact force. When you're sitting on a chair, that's a contact force. When your sister comes and pulls your hair, that's a contact force. So there's a lot of physics going on in the house. Today you can go and try with the steel glasses. Huh? That might work. Don't use glass ones. If someone wants more information on that, there is a full documentary on that and called Mythbusters. Mythbusters. You can check that. Pulling a tablecloth, Mythbusters. If you just type this, you'll get some video. What they do, they keep a big table with a cloth. They take a bike going at 100 kilometers per hour and they pull the cloth. That was more interesting video, but it was more violent, so I didn't show you. You guys can see. Put it up. So this is about normal force. Any particular doubts on this particular concept, please ask me. Get these things clear, because we are going to encounter whatever forces I'm showing you pretty frequently. Literally every chapter. You will see this in electromagnetism everywhere. These things you'll encounter.
The common normal is line joining the center, right?
For spheres. So whenever two balls or two discs are hitting each other, the force will be along the line joining center. That's when, if you remember when you play carom board, remember you play cut shot. So when this is going like this, so when the striker comes and hits like this, na, the force will be in this direction. Na? That's why this coin goes this way and this coin goes this way. Think about it. If this is coming this way, shouldn't the coin also go straight? It doesn't go. That is because the force which you will apply will be along the line joining the center. So this will go this way. That is the whole principle in playing cut shot in the carom board. So this normal force helps you to play carom board better. I mean, this kind of things we used to do when you're playing in college. Na? We used to have carom board competitions. These people used to play till like 2 o'clock. People used to be scared of me when they used to play with me, because I hit it so bad, all the coins fly off of the carom board. I'm an expert in that. So there used to be a guy called Harish, expert player. Meaning he used to play really good. He used to be like, Arun, you came, don't just beat the coins, play properly. Right? He used to every time ask me. I used to play properly for 1 or 2 times. Coin does not fall, I used to just blast off everything. I used to spoil the whole game and go off. It used to be fun. Next thing, tension. What is tension? So when a material is deformed, deformed meaning either it got elongated or compressed. Meaning if you take a body, if you try to compress it or stretch it, it's deformed. It generates an internal restoring force What do you mean by internal restoring force? Look at the word, na? It is there only. Internal, inside, restoring force. This is a force which will try to bring the body to its natural state. Which tries. So this is what we call as tension actually. So this is your tension. That internal restoring force is the tension. So think of it, if your friend is, if 2 friends are sitting, you are in the middle of the bench and 2 friends are compressing you. What do? You push them back, right? Or in a local train, fully rush. You're experiencing an internal restoring force. You try to push everyone, you want to have some space, you're getting compressed. You rarely get elongated in a train. So yeah, so the internal restoring force is that. So one thing it is important here, internal restoring forces are not external forces. This is something else only. You are generating a force in order to come to a natural state. To simply put it like this, imagine your friend, right? Your 2 friends are pulling both the hands. You feel very uncomfortable, your body is being stretched. That feeling is the tension. So that way. So, and again, what type of force is this? Electromagnetic, because the bonds are being stretched or compressed. Now, in this thing, if you talk about strings, strings have a peculiar property. So if a man is there and he pulls the string, so man pulls the string. So if the man pulls the string, what will happen? The string will pull back. If you pull the string, string will pull you back. But the same string, the man pushes the string. What will happen? The string becomes loose. Tension is 0. So you can try this with your charging cable, mobile phone. When you pull it, there's a force, but when you push it, it becomes loose. So if you see, right, strings always pull. Strings cannot push. They can never push. They can never push. So tomorrow, if you're a civil or a mechanical engineer, this concept is quite important to understand. I mean, even if you're a doctor, when people injure their legs or hands or something, now when you go to this physiotherapist, they give you some exercises. When there was one exercise which they gave me, I had a problem with my shoulder once. They said, see, you need to work out, but there is a certain motion which you should restrict. The motion was like this. When you lift weights, imagine you have a dumbbell and you're lifting it. So when you're lifting it, now the muscles get compressed. When you leave it, the muscles get stretched. Now. So the physiotherapist clearly said, see, it is okay to compress, but don't stretch the muscle. So what we need to do now, we used to have a trainer. So I used to pull them up. The trainer used to hold the dumbbells and pull it down. So there is only one kind of motion is allowed. I can only pull them up. I can't pull them down. So my muscles are not allowed to stretch, but they're allowed to compress. So the logic is my muscle has to become strong. So I need to do exercise. But if I stretch it every time, it becomes weak again. So normally a dumbbell, when you do this thing, right, with the biceps or something, you're pulling up and leaving down, pulling up and leaving down. So you don't do that leaving down motion. So that way, and not only that, when you're going for a gym and working out now, if you're not working out properly, you can see people like this. The body, right, it becomes like this. If you see your body, right, there are muscles in the front and there are muscles at the back. So when you're exercising, right, if you don't exercise these front muscles and back muscles with the equal thing, if the back muscles become too strong, what will happen? Your body becomes like this. The shoulders are pulled back more, the front part is not there. If your front muscles are too strong, your body becomes like this. You won't see that much curve, but the body actually bends. And in long run, right, it will start affecting. And not only this thing, if you see now, the back part, when people work out and all these muscles which are there, these things keep the spinal cord, more safer. They will keep them more intact. These people don't get back pains, they don't have that other problems which, people get in old age. So actually that all should work out, even girls also. Most people think girls will not work out and all. Another misconception is people think you'll get big muscles. That doesn't happen. Only movies and all it happens. To get that big muscles they show in movies, it will take 10-15 years and you have to use a lot of steroids and all that stuff. If you just work out strongly, right, it works out. You need to work out this thing. Because normally we humans start losing, muscle mass after some 40, 45, but it starts somewhere around 30. Right. So that is one concept. It goes on. I used to ask my instructor, okay, I asked him, why are you making me do this front and back things? So then he explained it to me. Sir, for the leg, there is a front muscle, there is a back muscle. If you don't work out equally now, you'll start getting all kind of pains on your leg because the muscles are not balanced. They're always pulling in one direction. So kind of like this. So this is how your muscles work actually. Now when you talk about a rod, hope all copied this. Rods behave differently. This is like your bones. So if you pull the rod will pull you back. So if you push the rod, the rod will push you back. So unlike a string, the rod can both push and pull. That is one thing you have to be careful. Put it down. So string and a rod, they're different. Next thing. So we talked about weight, normal force and tension. Spring force, right? We will be studying at the end. We have a separate subtopic for it. So that is about the first law. Newton's second law. So friction, we have a separate chapter. Spring, we will do it in a separate subtopic. What is Newton's second law? You know, Newton's second law and third law are my favorite. Whenever I used to interview teachers, I used to ask them second law and third law only. In Mumbai, I used to get a lot of wrong answers. Most common answer is F is ma. But okay, let's see. So what is Newton's second law? That's a blunder. F is equal to ma. I'll show you why. Net force acting on a body is proportional to the rate of change of momentum. What is momentum? Must have studied in school. So momentum symbol is p bar, which is mass into velocity. It's a vector quantity whose direction is in the direction of velocity. Fine, that's a mathematical definition, but what is momentum? How do you explain that? What is the physical significance of momentum? Now see, remember this thing, always you should know a technical definition and a definition for you to understand. Now the definition need not be exactly a definition, example also will do. So let me ask you one thing. If a body is going with 1 centimeter per second, can you stop it? If a body has a speed 1 centimeter per second, do you think we can stop it? Maybe. If a body has a mass of 1 gram, can you stop it? Now, again, I ask the same question. See, a local train is going with a speed of 1 centimeter per second. Will you stand in front of it? A bullet is going with 1 kilometer per second. Will you stop the bullet? See, when I said speed 1 centimeter per second, you're not scared of the speed, you got scared of the mass. Here, you're not scared of the mass, you got scared of the speed. So what are you actually getting scared of? The momentum. So next time when someone asks you, can you stop it? Or the first question you should ask is, what is the momentum? Not the mass, not the velocity. Getting it? So the physical significance is higher the momentum, more difficult to stop the body. Again, basically have more inertia. One reason why trains cannot stop immediately. Or if you have ever seen on a road, now this big container trucks you have seen on the road, they go very slow, 20, 30 kilometers per hour. I always used to think, why the hell these people are going so slow? The reason, if they go really fast, they won't be able to stop the truck in time. They'll just crash into everything. So tomorrow, right, if a devil comes and tells you, I'll give you 1 crore, you just need to stop a body going with 1 centimeter per second. Most people will think, yeah, I can stop this thing. They will take the 1 crore. The devil will take you and put you in front of a train. So Newton's second law saves you from a devil. That is one. So backing back to the law. So what is this thing? Force is proportional to dp by dt. That was the law. This is the Newton's second law. F is proportional to dp by dt. This symbol na, is called proportionality symbol. Huh? That is not some. That is a proportionality symbol, just like equal to. So k dp by dt. So I replace that symbol with a k. This is a proportionality constant. And in SI units, that means if you take mass, kg, length, meters, and seconds, the k becomes 1. Meaning in CJ's units, na, k ka value is something else. So we get F is dp by dt. Put it on here, I'll show in the next page. Done? Next page. So we got F is dp by dt. But what is dp? M into V, na? Remember product rule? M dv by dt plus V dm by dt. Differentiation. This is the product rule. F of x into g of x. So this is the actual formula. Now, if mass is constant, the most of the time the body ka mass is constant, then dm by dt will be 0. Then you can write F is m dv by dt, V dm by dt. This becomes 0. Then you get F is m dv by dt. What is dv by dt? Acceleration. So there you get F is ma. So this is valid only if m is constant. So when you say F is equal to ma, that's a big blunder. Only when mass is constant. Since most of the time m does not change, it won't affect. Let me show you a problem how they'll trap you with this. Arshdeep, I think you got disconnected again, ना?
Yes, sir.
तो क्लास के बाद रुक जाना, बात करते हैं.
हाँ सर.
So everyone planned for the Diwali trip. No plans, nothing. We are giving you so many holidays, right? 10 days almost. Actually, I was saying, sir, let's give only 2 days because they'll not go anywhere anyways. Then all are like, no, people will cry. Let's give them more. Sorry. Enjoy these holidays, huh? Because like next holidays you'll get in May. You might give you another 15 days then. After that, done. Again, next Diwali. Clear with this? Let's see the question. I'll just show you one. They'll ask me a question like this thing. We have a trolley. Going with speed u, constant. And it is raining. And what is happening? Rainwater is collected at a rate of r kgs per second. What happened? Suddenly? Meaning every second r kgs ka rainwater is falling in the trolley. So the question is, find F to maintain the speed. Find the force required to maintain the speed. Again, I'll explain. You have a trolley going inside in the rain. Every second r kgs ka rainwater is getting collected. Speed is u, constant. Do anything you want, speed is not changing. So then find force F required to maintain the speed. What is the answer? Finish. This is the last one. You know what most people will do? U is constant. Okay. If U is constant, what is acceleration? 0. Right? Speed is constant, the acceleration 0. So they will say force is mass into acceleration. Since A is 0, force is 0. This is what they write. Blunder. Why?
Mass is not constant.
So you can't use F is equal to ma formula, na? The formula is only not valid. F is equal to ma is not valid only. The formula is actually this: m dv by dt plus v dm by dt Now, this is 0 because V is constant. So this will be V dm by dt. What is dm by dt? Rate of change of mass. Na? This is R kgs. That is V U into R. So force is U into R. Got it? So most people will think that U is constant, so A is 0, so F is 0. But the problem is mass is changing. So you can't use F is equal to ma. You have to use this formula. So answer for this will be UR.
Sir, in the mass part, won't we add the mass of the trolley as well?
No, you are asking rate of change of mass, no? dm by dt is what? Rate of change of mass, no? So you need to see how much mass is changing, isn't it? That trolley ka mass will come here. But anyway, this is 0, no? It won't matter, right? Clear? So, yep, I think with this we'll wind up for the day. So any doubts, anything you have,